You've been given a great gift, George. Each man's life touches so many other lives. This is Christmas, not Halloween. After watching Gremlins and It's a Wonderful Life, this holiday season, I noticed for the very first time that Steven Spielberg wanted his Christmas horror story told alongside the parallels of It's a Wonderful Life. Initially, my review of Gremlins was for the horror fans, as a slow-burning bridge from the Halloween holiday to Christmas. But after seeing how the movie clip of It's a Wonderful Life was carefully placed inside of the Gremlins story, I could not help but count all the parallels and questions that was raised from it. Welcome back to Ivy Joe's Reviews, where we will analyze Gremlins, a 1984 Steven Spielberg Christmas horror story. We will also analyze the parallel themes that seems to be drawn from the 1947 Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. If you have not seen either movies, please proceed with caution. Gremlins begins with Rand Peltzer, an inventor looking to sell and search for a Christmas gift for his son, and the protagonist, Billy Peltzer. We later learn this gift, a mogwai, and later named Gizmo, is a little cute creature who is told by Mr. Wing he cannot sell, because it comes with great responsibility. As we later learn, it is sold to Rand by the man's grandson, but not before being warned and provided with the rules for caring for the mogwai. Billy's mom, Lynn, is crying as she is cooking and watching the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. It causes me to question if Billy's mom is worried about her spouse, as Mary is about her husband George, in It's a Wonderful Life. And despite Lynn's husband, Rand's failed business ventures, we always see her support and devout love for Rand, just as Mary has for George in It's a Wonderful Life. As I watch George run past the movie house in It's a Wonderful Life, and recall seeing the movie house in the opening of Gremlins, I knew right then to look for more comparisons. They never stopped coming. Gremlin's story is set in a small, quaint town that aligns with various details of the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life. It's mentioned by Mrs. Deagle in Gremlins, a disliked businesswoman, that Billy's dad is a loser, and obviously behind on his mortgage. Mrs. Deagle berates Billy very much like the unscrupulous businessman Mr. Potter does to George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. Mr. Potter is as cruel to his community in Bedford Falls as Mrs. Deagle is in Kingston Falls. Billy, from Gremlins, works in a bank. The Bailey's Brothers Building and Loan Association is a Bailey family business, and where George's dad, and later George, works in It's a Wonderful Life. Billy's dad is not the best businessman. George's dad in It's a Wonderful Life was not a good businessman. Neither was George's gregarious and absent-minded Uncle Billy, whose character most matches Billy's dad in Gremlins. As Mr. Potter stated in the movie, he, referring to George's dad, was a man of high ideals, but ideals without common sense can ruin this town. Pretty much like what was caused by Billy's dad in the town, when he brought Gizmo home. George is artistic and has dreams to leave the small town of Bedford Falls to travel and build as an architect in a larger town. Billy draws and is artistic, and spoiler alert, by Gremlins 2 is working in a big city as an architect. Gremlins reveals the town's name is Kingston Falls. Perhaps a foreshadowing of the town of Kingston falling. Both Bedford Falls and Kingston Falls have 2 movies on their town's movie theater marquees. Another major theme addressed is depression. Kate, Billy's love interest, mentions how the holidays are difficult for many people, such as those who have experienced job loss or death, to the point of wanting to end things, very much like the theme addressed towards the end of It's a Wonderful Life, as George stood near the bridge looking down into the water. George and Billy both fought the human desire to be selfish and concerned with one's own well-being. Due to money problems, both Billy and George have almost supernatural-like experiences that reminds them of how precious life is, and how there are rules in life, for a reason. George has his encounter with an angel. Mr. Rand had his with Mr. Wing. Billy has his with the wet and later hatched Gremlins, that has begun to wreak havoc on the town. George and the people of Bedford's Fall have a strong disdain for Mr. Potter and his thieving business ways, yet George sought to basically sell his soul to the devil, Mr. Potter, to avoid the town's raft and jail time after his Uncle Billy lost $8,000 of the building and loans funds. And one of the greatest parallels came for me at the end of the movie, as I watched George lose track and accountability for his family and the people of Bedford Falls, just as Billy has with the escape of Stripe. For me, Stripe represented the monstrous Mr. Potter, who is ruining the town and working to turn it into Pottersville. It's a Wonderful Life also carries the common thread between the movies that illustrate each man's life touches so many other lives. If George was never born, his brother would have died at a young age, keeping him from saving many in the war. And the town of Bedford Falls would have undoubtedly been the evil town that Mr. Potter sought it to become. Just as the lack of accountability for Gizmo and Gremlins turns Kingston Falls upside down. As a domino effect, each ill-made decision resulted in people becoming hurt, frightened, and even killed in Gremlins. For those that are fans of both Halloween and the Christmas holiday, Gremlins and It's a Wonderful Life are a reminder that some gifts are great and come with much responsibility. For George, it was the gift of his life, and how he impacted all those around him. If he were never born, so many people of the town Bedford Falls, or Pottersville, would have been doomed. In Gremlins, for Billy, the lesson was illustrated by showing Billy and his dad's lack of regard of the rules, selfishness, what could be gained by multiple mogwais if sold, and the narrow-minded disregard of the lives around them. Gremlins seems to be a horror story dropped right inside of Bedford Falls. My question from these parallels are, why did Steven Spielberg decide to create a horror story, essentially, inside of Bedford Falls? Do you agree with my correlation between Gremlins and It's a Wonderful Life? Is Gremlins a horror or a Christmas story? Are there parallels that I overlooked? Please leave your comments or questions below, and as always, thank you for watching Ivy Joe's Reviews.